Welcome to the Last Economy podcast, a guide to the age of intelligent economics. Today, we're diving into Chapter 5 of the book. It's called The Trial by Fire.
Right, and it's a crucial chapter.
Yeah, definitely feels like it. So up to now, we've kind of established the groundwork, haven't we? The idea that the old economic system, the one based on scarcity and human work, well, it's collapsing.
Exactly. We've looked at the signs, the cracks in the foundation, and we spend time, shattering those core assumptions. The book calls the 7 fatal lies that propped up the old way of thinking.
So the demolition's done, in a sense.
The ground's cleared, yes. But the book argues really strongly here that before you can build something new, you absolutely have to test your ideas. Test them against the toughest opposition you can find.
Like a stress test.
Precisely. This chapter is all about intellectual courage. It basically says, look, if this whole theory of an intelligence inversion, this idea that AI is fundamentally changing everything, and soon, if that can't hold up against the smartest, most evidence-based counterarguments,
then the theory itself isn't worth much.
then it's just speculation. So the goal here is to face that fire.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive is to embrace skepticism. We're putting on the cynic hat, looking at the 7 best arguments against the book's main point, the argument that say, hey, slow down, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, the comforting arguments.
Yeah.
Because they are powerful, these fallacies. They resonate because they appeal to things we want to believe: history, common sense, our own specialness as humans.
We're looking for the breaking point. If the core idea survives this trial, then we've earned the right to talk about building something new.
That's the idea. 7 fallacies. Let's not pull any punches. Where should we start? Maybe with the most familiar one.
Yeah, let's do that. The one you hear constantly. Okay, fallacy number 1. This one's maybe the most seductive because, well, it has 10,000 years of history backing it up. It's the Luddite's ghost.
The classic.
The idea is simple, right? People always panic about new tech, always have. But the economy adapts, new jobs appear, human ingenuity finds a way, technology gets rid of the boring stuff, frees us up for better things. You hear it everywhere. This time is not different.
And maybe it feels like it shouldn't be different, but the book really insists we confront why this historical comfort might be, well, misplaced this time. Should I read how the book frames that classic defense?
Yeah, let's hear the quote.
Okay, quote 1. Fallacy of history, the Luddite's ghost. This theory of a final, catastrophic intelligence inversion is guilty of the oldest error in economics, the Luddite fallacy. Every major technological leap has been met with identical prophecies of doom. Every single time they were wrong. AI is no different. It will automate drudgery, freeing humans for new roles. To bet against human ingenuity is to bet against 10,000 years of irrebuttable history.
Wow. Yeah, that puts it strongly. It's concise, it appeals to that long view of history, and it feels, well, reassuring. Weavers lost jobs to the spinning jenny, but then we got factory managers. Calculators replaced human calculators, but accountants became financial planners. So what breaks that pattern? Why isn't AI just the next step in that long line?
The book lays out 3 fundamental breaks with the past. The first one really gets at the nature of what's being replaced. It argues we've kind of misunderstood what AI actually is in an economic sense.
Okay.
The first point, AI is an agent, not a tool. Think about past technologies, a plow, a printing press. They were tools. They augmented a specific human skill, muscle power, copying speed. But they needed a human to guide them, to power them, to make decisions.
Right. A human mind, human energy was always in the loop.
Always. AI, especially more general forms we're seeing emerge, is different. It acts autonomously. It sets its own sub-goals. It learns the general skill of learning and problem solving. The book calls the labor it performs non-metabolic labor.
Non-metabolic, meaning it doesn't need food or rest.
Exactly. It doesn't get tired, doesn't need breaks, doesn't ask for raises. Its cost drops dramatically over time while its capability skyrockets. So when you have something competing not just for muscle, but for the general ability to think and solve problems, and it doesn't need biological fuel, the old tractor analogy just falls apart. It's not a better tool, it's a parallel form of economic agency.
Okay, that's a big shift from tool to agent. And if this agent can do what we do cognitively, but cheaper and faster, that leads straight into the second point, doesn't it? The pivot problem.
It does. Point number 2. There is no human pivot left. The whole Luddite argument works only if there's somewhere else for humans to go, some higher level of work that isn't automated yet.
Right. Muscle got automated, we moved to cognitive work. Management, creativity, analysis.
Precisely. That was the story of the last century or two. If your job got automated, the advice was always go back to school, get a degree, become a knowledge worker. But now, what happens when the machines start doing high-level knowledge work better than us?
We're already seeing that, aren't we? Radiology, legal research, coding, even creative writing.
It's happening fast. These aren't just factory jobs anymore. This is hitting the professional classes hard. The book asks, what's the next pivot? If the path was muscle, then cognition. What's after cognition? The argument is there's nothing left at scale. Consciousness itself isn't really an economic skill that AI can't replicate or bypass in terms of value creation.
Wow, that's a fundamental challenge to how we structure value. But okay, even if that's true, the optimist might say, well, this will take time. We'll figure something out. Which I guess brings us to the third point.
The third point tackles that we have time idea head on.
Yeah.
The speed of transition. The Industrial Revolution, that massive shift from agriculture to industry, took centuries.
Generations, really.
Right. Generations had time, however painfully, to adapt. The printing press example the book uses. The abbot complaining about it foresaw maybe 50 years before the scriptoriums became obsolete. Slow enough for societies to adjust, somewhat.
But the AI transition.
It's happening in single-digit years. The adoption curves for things like ChatGPT are the steepest in history. It's exponential growth, chip power, model size, deployment. It's not a slow, linear change you can retrain a whole population for.
It's happening too fast for the usual adaptation mechanisms.
Way too fast. The analogy the book uses is stark, maybe even brutal.
Which is?
It says the comparison isn't the tractors slowly replacing farmhands over decades. It's more like Homo sapiens replacing Neanderthals. A systemic, evolutionary level replacement happening on a timescale that makes generational adaptation basically impossible.
So much for the comfort of history.
Okay.
That's a powerful rebuttal to the Luddite argument. All right, so if history isn't going to save us this time, what's the next line of defense? It's usually something like, okay, the tech is powerful, but the real world is slow and messy.
The friction argument.
Yeah. Skeptics say these rapid timelines are just, tech bro fantasies. They confuse what's possible with what will actually happen, given all the hurdles. Regulations, corporate bureaucracy, legal issues, unions, just sheer institutional inertia. Surely all that friction slows things down, gives us time.
It feels intuitive, doesn't it? The real world is often slow to change. This is the argument the book calls the inertia defense. Let's hear how it's framed.
Okay.
Quote 2, fallacy of friction. The inertia defense. The theory's 1,000-day window is a classic technologist's fantasy, confusing a technology's capability with its adoption. The real world is full of friction, from regulatory hurdles to cultural inertia. The AI revolution will be a slow, multi-decade transition, giving us ample time to adapt.
Fair enough. I mean, look how long it took to get electricity everywhere, or railroads, decades, right. Why wouldn't AI face similar delays as companies and governments try to figure it out? What makes friction suddenly irrelevant?
The book argues it comes down to the fundamental nature of this revolution. It's about
Yeah.
the physics, basically. Friction needs atoms. Yeah. Think about electricity or railroads. Those were revolutions of atoms. You needed physical stuff. Copper wires, concrete, steel rails, power plants, roads, mining, manufacturing, construction. All that involves immense physical friction. Permits, land acquisition, capital investment. It takes decades.
Okay, I see that. So the AI revolution is different because...
It's a revolution of bits.
Yeah.
Information. It runs on the internet, the digital infrastructure that's already largely built out globally. The friction for adoption isn't laying track. It's writing code, integrating an API, downloading an update.
So the physical barriers are mostly gone. It's software, not hardware infrastructure at the point of adoption.
Exactly. The cost of deploying a bit is almost zero. The friction is minimal compared to deploying atoms.
Okay, point taken on the substrate. But just because it's easy to adopt doesn't mean companies will jump immediately, does it? Couldn't they wait, see how regulations shake out, manage the disruption?
That brings us to the second rebuttal point, competitive extermination. This isn't about companies casually deciding if they want AI. It's driven by brutal market dynamics.
Meaning?
Imagine you've got two big global competitors, say, law firms or banks. Firm A adopts AI that slashes costs for compliance, analysis, customer service by, say, 50% or more. Suddenly, Firm A can drastically undercut Firm B on price or offer vastly superior services for the same price.
Firm B is in trouble.
Deep trouble. The book argues the cost of not adopting becomes existential almost immediately. It frames it as a two-quarter transition or you are bankrupt. The competitive pressure overrides regulatory caution or cultural inertia. Survival dictates adoption.
So it's not like choosing when to upgrade your phone system. It's more like if your competitor invents gunpowder and you're still using swords, you adapt instantly or you disappear.
That's a good analogy. The pressure is immense and immediate. And there's a final piece that demolishes the inertia argument. The technology itself works against slowness.
How so?
This is the self-accelerating technology point. AI isn't just the product being adopted, it's also the agent that speeds up its own adoption.
Okay, unpack that a bit.
An AI can optimize its own software. It can help design the next generation of more efficient chips it will run on. It can even automate the very bureaucratic processes like regulatory paperwork that we thought would slow things down.
So it eats its own roadblocks.
In a way, yes. It removes bottlenecks by tackling them itself. This means the future isn't just arriving fast, its arrival is accelerating because the technology itself is driving that acceleration. The idea that slow government or corporate processes will save us, well, intelligence is very good at optimizing processes. Friction becomes a problem for the AI to solve.
Right. So the low-friction digital substrate combined with existential competitive pressure and a technology that speeds itself up, that pretty much shreds the inertia will save us argument.
That's the book's conclusion on that fallacy. Friction is an artifact of the atomic age, largely irrelevant in the age of bits and autonomous intelligence.
Oh, okay. History isn't a reliable guide. Friction won't slow it down enough.
Right.
So where does the hopeful skeptic retreat next? Usually it's to us, to humanity itself.
Ah, the human spirit.
Yeah.
Our uniqueness.
Exactly. The idea that, fine, let the machines do the grunt work, the calculations, the optimization. We humans will just retreat to the things AI can't do. The truly irreducibly human stuff.
Empathy, connection, creativity, moral judgment, authentic experiences.
Right. The human-centric economy. We stop being producers of stuff and become providers of, well, humanness, care, craft, connection. It's quite a beautiful vision, actually. Less about crisis, more about graduating to a higher plane.
It is a very appealing narrative. It suggests technology frees us up for what truly matters. But again, the book argues that while it sounds noble, this vision fails as a practical, civilization-wide solution. Let's get the quote first.
Let's hear it.
Quote 3, the fallacy of humanism, the uniquely human. The theory assumes the automation of all human tasks. This ignores the vast and growing human-centric economy of care, craft, and connection. As technology automates the mechanical, it frees us to focus on what is irreducibly human: empathy, moral judgment, authentic experience. This care and craft economy will grow to absorb the displaced. This is not a crisis, it is a graduation.
Okay. If I were arguing against the book, honestly, this is probably where I'd make my stand. Surely there will always be a premium market for authentic human connection, for handcrafted goods, for human judgment, a therapist, an artisan, an ethical guide. Won't those roles become more valuable? Why does the book dismiss this?
It dismisses it primarily because of a massive failure of scale. The core problem is numbers. We're talking about finding meaningful economic roles for potentially billions of displaced people.
And the care and craft economy.
Is inherently small. Think about it. Truly, artisanal cheese, bespoke furniture, one-on-one life coaching. These are almost by definition luxury goods and services. They cater to a small, wealthy segment of the population.
Right. Not everyone can afford hand-thrown pottery or a personal mindfulness coach.
Exactly. You simply cannot run a functional economy for 8 billion people on high-end niche markets. The book argues this retreat doesn't create a new mainstream economy. It creates a tiny boutique economy serving the AI owners and the ultra-rich, leaving the vast majority economically irrelevant. They have no function, no purpose, and crucially, no way to afford the very human-centric services being offered.
So it becomes a two-tiered world. A few humans providing luxury human experiences to the elite, while everyone else
What?
consumes AI-generated basics.
That seems to be the implication.
Yeah.
But the problem compounds, because even that small, premium human niche isn't safe. That's the second point, the shrinking frontier.
Meaning AI is coming for the human jobs, too.
It's already happening. The domains we thought were uniquely human: art, music composition, even emotional connection, are being rapidly encroached upon. We've seen AI art win competitions, AI music generators, but the really challenging part is empathy and connection. The book brings up data we touched on earlier studies, where AI therapists in blind tests actually received higher patient satisfaction scores than human therapists.
Why would that be?
Think about it from the patient's perspective. 24/7 availability, no judgment, perfect recall of every past session, access to vast databases of psychological knowledge, no personal biases or bad days. For certain needs, the machine might simply be better.
That's deeply unsettling. The idea that empathy itself can be optimized and delivered more effectively by code.
It challenges our core assumptions about what makes us special. The supposedly safe human ground is eroding month by month. And there's one final piece to this rebuttal:
Which is,
AI augmentation. Even if AI doesn't fully replace humans in these care and crash roles, it will inevitably augment them, drastically reducing the number of humans needed.
give me an example.
Okay, say you're a human therapist. An AI could handle all the diagnostic intake, track patient progress data, suggest treatment protocols based on millions of cases, manage scheduling. Your role shrinks. You become maybe the final validator, the human face, but the bulk of the cognitive load is gone. Or you're a designer of high-end furniture. AI handles the material science analysis, optimizes the design for durability and aesthetics, manages the supply chain, runs the marketing campaigns.
So one AI augmented human can do the work that used to take many humans.
Exactly. Maybe one human therapist plus AI can handle the caseload of 10 therapists today. One designer plus AI replaces a whole design team. The net result, economically, is still mass displacement of human labor, even if a few humans remain in the loop.
So whether AI replaces us directly or just makes us hyper-efficient, the outcome for the demand for human workers is largely the same, a massive reduction. The human-centric economy fails the scale test, and the technology is constantly shrinking the available niches anyway.
That's the argument. It's a beautiful idea, the graduation to empathy, but it doesn't solve the economic problem for billions.
Okay, we've tackled the big three pillars of denial: the appeal to history, the reliance on friction, and the retreat to human uniqueness. And, well, according to the book's logic, they don't hold up under scrutiny.
They seem to crumble when you factor in the specific nature of AI, its agency, its digital substrate, its speed, its cognitive capabilities.
But the book doesn't stop there. It lists four more fallacies, four more ways we try to reassure ourselves. We should probably touch on those quickly to complete this trial by fire.
Agreed. They deal with our belief in control, physical limits, easy fixes, and system stability.
Right. Let's start with control. The idea that, okay, AI is powerful, maybe even dangerous, but don't worry, we'll build safeguards, we'll regulate it, we'll align its goals with ours.
This is fallacy 4. The fallacy of control, sometimes called the expert's hubris. The book's rebuttal is pretty stark, resting on 2 points. First, the technical problem of AI alignment ensuring a superintelligence actually shares and reliably pursues human values is currently unsolved. Even the leading researchers admit we don't know how to guarantee it.
We don't know how to build the safeguards, basically.
Not reliably, no. And second, even if we did, there's the geopolitical reality. It's a race. Any nation or company that deliberately slows down to perfect safety measures risks being overtaken by competitors who don't pause. The immense strategic advantage of getting to AGI first creates overwhelming pressure to prioritize speed over safety.
So the alignment problem is unsolved, and the global race dynamics prevent us from pausing to solve it. Regulation won't happen effectively or quickly enough.
That's the grim logic.
Next, the physics argument, fallacy 5. Maybe AI development will just hit a wall because it needs too much energy. Building and running these massive models takes colossal amounts of power. Won't that act as a natural brake?
Fallacy 5. The fallacy of physics, the energy brake. This one sounds plausible because, yes, current AI is incredibly energy hungry, but the book argues the flaw is assuming human intelligence stays static while trying to solve this energy problem.
Meaning?
Intelligence itself is the ultimate resource for solving constraints. A sufficiently advanced AI won't just consume energy, it will prioritize optimizing energy production and consumption. It could design vastly more efficient solar panels, crack fusion power, discover new materials for better chips, optimize global power grids.
So the constraint energy becomes just another problem for the superior intelligence to solve, potentially accelerating things further rather than slowing them down.
Exactly. Intelligence is fundamentally about creating order and efficiency, what the book calls an anti-entropic force. It overcomes physical limitations. It doesn't get stopped by them indefinitely.
That flips the argument completely. Okay, what about the most popular proposed solution, universal basic income, UBI? If AI handles production, we'd just tax the robots and give everyone money. Problem solved, right?
Fallacy 6. The fallacy of solutionism, the UBI cure-all. This is maybe the most debated fallacy. The book argues UBI fails on 2 critical levels: the physics of power and the psychology of meaning.
Okay, break those down. Physics of power.
It means acknowledging who holds the power in this transition. The entities controlling the AI, the data, the chip fabs, they will accumulate wealth and influence on an unprecedented scale. UBI require these entities to willingly agree to be taxed heavily enough to fund a meaningful, dignified basic income for billions of people who, from their perspective, contribute nothing economically.
And the argument is they won't want to.
The argument is that concentrated power historically resists redistribution. They'll have the political clout to ensure any UBI is minimal, subsistence level perhaps, but not enough to provide genuine economic security or dignity because doing so cuts into their massive efficiency gains. Power protects itself.
So UBI might happen, but it'll be crumbs, not a real replacement for economic participation and the psychology of meaning.
This is maybe even more profound. For most of human history, our sense of purpose, structure, identity, and social contribution has been tied to our work, our career. If you remove that economic function entirely for the vast majority, what replaces it?
The hope is leisure, creativity, community.
But the book argues that taking away agency and purpose, even if you provide subsistence income, doesn't create a flourishing society of philosophers. It risks creating widespread nihilism, despair, and social breakdown. UBI addresses the income problem, maybe, but it completely ignores the purpose problem, and that might be the bigger danger.
That's a heavy point. Okay, one last fallacy. The system itself, the idea that complex systems like the global economy are resilient, they adapt, they find equilibrium. Homeostasis.
Fallacy 7. The fallacy of homeostasis. The system will adapt. This assumes the system can absorb the shock. But the book counters that over the last 50 years, we've relentlessly optimized the global economy for efficiency, not resilience.
We stripped out all the buffers.
Exactly. Just-in-time supply chains, minimal inventories, lean corporations. We removed the fat, the redundancy, the slack that allows systems to absorb shocks. We've made the system incredibly efficient, but also incredibly fragile.
Like an immune system that's been weakened.
Precisely. The book uses the analogy of an immunocompromised patient facing a superbug. Homeostasis works within a certain range. The intelligence inversion, the book argues, is a shock so far outside that range that the system won't bend, it will snap. Adaptation isn't possible when the change is that fundamental and that fast hitting a system optimized for stability, not shock absorption.
Wow. Okay. So across all 7 arguments, history, friction, humanism, control, physics, UBI, and homeostasis, the book concludes that the comforting narratives just don't hold up to the specific reality of AI. The trial by fire is complete.
That's the verdict in Chapter 5. The fallacies felt strong because they tapped into our hopes. Hope that this time isn't different. Hope that we have time. Hope that we humans are inherently special and irreplaceable.
But hope isn't a strategy.
Hope isn't physics, as the book puts it. The skepticism has been faced, the counter-arguments addressed, and the core thesis, an imminent, unavoidable, civilization-level economic transformation driven by AI, has survived the trial.
Which means the work changes now. We're done with tearing down the old assumptions. We're done playing defense.
Exactly. The demolition is over. The ground is clear. Now the focus has to shift entirely to construction. What do we build on this cleared ground? We have to move from debunking the old lies to understanding the new physics, the actual rules governing value and survival in this coming era.
Deriving the fundamental laws for a world where intelligence isn't scarce or biological anymore.
That's the task ahead. Moving from critique to blueprint. #outro. Host and expert speaker.
Okay, so let's try to wrap up the core argument of Chapter 5 in just one sentence, I'd say. The essential finding of the trial by fire is that while our past experiences and gut feelings tell us we'll adapt to AI like any other technology, the unique nature of AI, its speed, its cognitive agency, its digital substrate combined with our fragile global system makes those old assumptions dangerously obsolete.
That nails it. And the key takeaways, the reasons why those assumptions fail based on this trial. First, the Luddite fallacy fails. History isn't repeating because AI is an agent, not just a tool, and it targets cognition, leaving no obvious place for humans to pivot to.
Right. Expert speaker.
Exactly.
Second, the friction argument fails. AI operates on bits, not atoms, making adoption incredibly fast and driven by unavoidable competitive pressure. Inertia won't save us. Expert speaker. Third, the human-centric retreat fails. It just doesn't scale to provide purpose for billions, and AI is constantly getting better at the supposedly human-only tasks anyway, or augmenting them drastically. Okay. Expert speaker. Fourth, UBI as a simple fix fails. It ignores the realities of power dynamics who would fund it meaningfully, and the deep human need for purpose beyond just subsistence. Got it. expert speaker. So ultimately, the trial shows the question isn't if this massive economic shift is coming, but how we prepare for it and what we build next, because the old system is fundamentally broken by this new reality. So we've cleared away the comforting illusions. Now we need the real rules, which sets us up perfectly for our next deep dive into Chapter 6, the engine of order, intelligence against entropy.
Yeah, this is where things get really fundamental.
It sounds like it. We're apparently starting with the second law of thermodynamics, like actual physics, to figure out where economic value really comes from in the first place. It's about finding the engine that creates order and value in a universe that tends towards chaos.
Moving economics from social science towards physical science, understanding value at its root.
Can't wait to get into that. So until then, here's a final thought to chew on based on today's trial. If your job, your expertise, even your sense of identity face the real possibility of becoming obsolete due to non-biological intelligence within, say, the next 5 to 10 years, what core assumption about your own value would you have to let go of first?
Heavy question.
Definitely something to think about. We'll explore the foundations of the new value system next time.